Imagine two people sitting at the same table, eating the exact same meal. An hour later, both feel that heavy, foggy tiredness creep in. On the surface, they look identical. They feel almost identical. But inside their bodies, two completely different things are happening. And most people have no idea which one is actually affecting them. One of them is experiencing a glucose spike. The other is living with insulin resistance. And here's the part almost nobody explains. These are not the same problem. They don't behave the same way. They don't build the same way. And confusing the two might be the exact reason why so many things people try never seem to work the way they hoped. For years, you've probably heard these two terms thrown around as if they were interchangeable. Health articles use them in the same sentence. Videos blur them together. Even well-meaning advice treats them like one single issue. And that's where the confusion begins, not because people aren't trying, but because modern metabolic information has become a tangled mess of contradictions, half-truths, and surface-level explanations that leave you more lost than when you started. If you've ever felt that frustration, eating the right things, following the tips, and still feeling drained, foggy, or stuck, you're not imagining it. The problem was never your willpower. The problem is that almost no one ever sat you down and explained what's truly happening underneath. If this sounds familiar, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and whether you know someone who has been struggling with this same confusion too. So let's clear it up, once and for all. Picture your bloodstream like a quiet river flowing through your body. When you eat, especially foods high in fast carbohydrates or sugar, glucose floods into that river all at once. That sudden surge is a glucose spike. It's a short-term event. It rises quickly, peaks, and then ideally comes back down. A spike is a moment in time. It happens, and then it passes. Now here's where it gets interesting. Every time glucose enters that river, your body sends out a messenger called insulin. Think of insulin as a key. Its job is to unlock the doors of your cells so glucose can move out of the blood and into the cells, where it becomes energy. In a healthy system, the key fits, the door opens, and the glucose flows where it belongs. But what happens when that key has to be used over and over, day after day, year after year? Imagine a lock that's been forced open thousands of times. Slowly, it starts to wear down. It gets stiff. The key still exists, but the lock no longer responds the way it used to. That worn-down, sluggish response is insulin resistance, and this is the difference most people miss. A glucose spike is a single event, a moment. Insulin resistance is a pattern, a condition that builds quietly over time. One is the wave. The other is the changing shape of the shoreline after years of waves crashing against it. This is why the two feel so similar, but require completely different attention. Someone can have occasional glucose spikes and still have cells that respond beautifully, and someone else can have relatively normal-looking numbers at a glance, yet have cells that have grown tired, resistant, and slow to listen. The spike is what you feel in the moment. The resistance is what's been forming in the background, often for years before anyone notices. Here's where things start to change. Once you understand that spikes and resistance are two different chapters of the same story, everything begins to make sense. The afternoon crashes, the cravings that come out of nowhere, the stubborn energy dips, the feeling that your body just isn't cooperating. These aren't random. They're signals. Your body's way of telling you that the rhythm between glucose and insulin has drifted out of balance. And that's exactly why surface-level solutions so often fall short. Cutting out one food, chasing one trick, or following one viral tip might touch the spike, but it rarely addresses the deeper conversation happening between your cells and your insulin. Real balance isn't about a single fix. It's about supporting the whole system so that the key and the lock can work together again, the way they were designed to. This is where a smarter, more intentional routine comes in. Alongside steady habits, balanced meals, gentle movement, better sleep, and lower stress, many people look for additional support to help their bodies maintain healthy glucose balance over time. Certain naturally studied ingredients like berberine, cinnamon extract, and others have drawn attention for the way they're designed to support healthy metabolic function as part of a broader routine, not as a cure, not as a replacement for medical guidance, but as one more tool that may help support the goal you're already working toward. Because the truth is simple, even if it's rarely said clearly. You don't have to choose between understanding glucose spikes and understanding insulin resistance. You need to understand both, how they connect, how they differ, and how the daily choices you make either calm that inner river or keep it churning. When you finally see the full picture, the guilt starts to lift. The confusion fades, and in its place comes something far more powerful: clarity. You stop blaming yourself and start working with your body instead of against it. So the next time you hear someone use glucose spike and insulin resistance as if they're the same thing, you'll know better. You'll understand that one is a moment and the other is a pattern, and that real, lasting metabolic balance comes from respecting both. If today's video helped you finally see the difference clearly, take a look at the first pinned comment for more information about the ingredients and the support option we mentioned. Your body has been speaking to you this whole time. Now at last you know how to listen.